This is Lucky with Lucky Sevens Tarot. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a really special video that I have been waiting to do for so long, and I hope that you will join me in watching and, like this video. Make sure you comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, because this deck that I am reviewing today is my own tarot deck. All right, this is my very first tarot deck. I create decks, if you don't know. I have a bunch of them on my website, lucky7tarot.com, but this is my first real, actual tarot deck. And I created all of the artwork in each picture. This is a major arcana deck, and if you know tarot, there is 22 cards in the major arcana. This deck is unique in the sense that there's actually a reverse card for every card that's upright. So there's actually 44 cards in this deck. And this deck is a twist on the modern tarot. Okay, it's called the Retrograde Major Arcana deck, right? I published this deck during Retrograde. And the fact that, every card has a reverse card to it also kind of is a play on the retrograde theme. All right. So I do want to give you sort of a trigger warning, because this deck was created a little bit out of the box and may be a little triggering for some people, especially if, you're not excited with detailed imaging, and some of the images may be controversial, and that was the intention when I created this deck. All right, so with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so when you open the deck is pretty thick. The card stock is a very thick card stock. All right, I wanted these cards to be durable. I wanted them to be lasting. So, and all of my decks are actually created with this card stock because of that. Because I do tarot and I go through so many decks, the intention was to always have good card stock so that my cards don't need to be replaced over and over again. And they last longer that way. Okay, so this first card, obviously we're going to go from the very first card in the major arcana all the way to the last one, and I will explain my reasoning behind all of these cards. And the artwork is very significant in this deck. The artwork matters, guys. All right, that is the reason that we have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of decks that are created, because the artwork means different things. That's the reason why certain readers will use certain decks for some things and certain decks for other things. Okay, so in this deck, this is the Fool card. Okay, now I'm gonna just put this over here. So this is the Fool card. All right, obviously it looks like a regular Fool card. This is, like I said, I wanted to do some traditional and some kind of out of the box, right? In this card, the depiction of it, you can see where he's going on a journey. He's got a backpack on. The sun is shining, but there's still clouds there. It's like going into the unknown. There's an eagle there. It represents the unknown. He's got his walking stick, his cane. He is ready for, to figure out what is ahead of him, which is representative of the Fool. He is taking some level of risk when it comes to this picture. So that's the original Fool. Now, like I said, for every card, there's a reverse card. So the reverse Fool is this, right? So when you look at this depiction of the Fool in reverse, now if you are into stocks and trading, things of that nature, there's something called FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt is what it stands for, FUD. And when you're going through FUD, the way that they explain it is like people panic sell, right? They're afraid of taking too much risk, and so they panic sell their assets or their stocks or their crypto or what have you. And so that is sort of the representation that you have here with this Fool card, okay? And with the original Fool meaning, when it's in reverse, it's like afraid to take that risk, afraid to put yourself out there, you know, afraid to start from zero, that kind of thing. So that was the depiction that I kind of came up with for this this card here. Now, this next one is number 1. It is the Magician. Okay, so the Magician in this, with this card here, as you can see, there's beautiful flowers around her. Is kind of very traditional in the sense that there's the cup, there's the pentacle, you could see the sword in the flowers, and the wand right here. She has everything at her will and disposal to manifest what she wants to create. All right. She has all the power. Okay. And it's infinite. There's the infinity symbol above her, lights in the background, which really kind of, to me, indicate that, you know, she has everything that she needs to create the outcomes that she wants, which is indicative of the original Magician card, right? The Magician in reverse is this. So the Magician in reverse, a lot of times it is associated with manipulation, right? And when we think of social media, a lot of times we think of our cell phones and the apps and different things like that, because it has, and you can use those apps and you can use the cell phone to manipulate situations, to manipulate the thoughts and control the minds of others. Okay, so I wanted to depict that in our generation now, currently, where we stand. Everyone has a cell phone. You know, unless you live under a rock somewhere, you have a cell phone. So it's basically being able to control the mind, okay? And sometimes even, you know, with the Magician in reverse, it can also mean like using your powers for, you know, for evil kind of thing, like not doing well with them. That's where that manipulation falls in. And I feel like you have the option with the phone to be able to do good things with it, or maybe not so good things, right? Because it's a computer literally in the palm of your hand, okay? This also is kind of ignoring your gifts, right? Using the phone, spending a lot of time on your phone kind of forces you sometimes to ignore the things around you that are blessings, the pentacles, the cups, the swords. It is almost a form of you kind of manipulating yourself into not acknowledging the gifts and the blessings that you were given. And the phone can be a distraction from those blessings. And it can create, you know, almost like a fear within yourself. And I don't necessarily want to call it a fear, but it can be a distraction. It can create a distraction from issues that we need to heal and work on, and in order to manifest outcomes that we want to have. Number 2 in the major arcana is the High Priestess, right? And the High Priestess, a lot of us tarot readers believe that this may represent different zodiac signs. I feel like everybody has their own feeling of what zodiac signs go with what. But the High Priestess is very connected to the moon, right? She is mute. She is very connected to her own spirituality, which is a lot of the reason why it, for some, is associated with Pisces. But because she's very connected to the moon, you see the moon crescent right there. The owl represents the wisdom that she has, that maybe she doesn't say, but she feels everything, which is the light around her in the circle. All right. And the tree growing, like her wisdom, knowledge, information, spiritual enlightenment growing. She feels everything very deeply. All right. And so I wanted to represent that in this deck. Okay. In this card. And the High Priestess in reverse, you'll notice very different. All right. The two are very, very different. Here, you have someone, a woman that is almost taking on a very masculine type of energy, okay? The High Priestess in reverse does represent like repressing your spirituality, repressing your intuition, okay? And a lot of times, I feel like when we show up to something angry, anger is an emotion that we represent, or that we exude a lot of times to protect ourselves. But when you are acting out of anger instead of your intuition, your enlightenment, right? You are essentially reactive, and you're repressing a lot of your spiritual senses. Okay, so I wanted to represent that. And more so, there's a crab. She has a tattoo on her of a crab. Okay, and the reason that that is there and represented is more of an indication of the moon. Okay, but again, in hiding your real feelings. All right, crabs are hard on the outside, but very soft on the inside, okay? And a lot of times when we act out of anger, or, you know, we're repressing ourselves, we're repressing our emotions, what we're not doing is really trusting ourselves, trusting our intuition, allowing us to really feel. And the High Priestess in reverse can represent a lot of blocked emotional stuff. You know, things that we want to, not wanting to feel vulnerable, right, to our emotions, okay? Even though we genuinely feel them intensely, it can, you know, when it's in reverse, it's like trying to ignore. And maybe even using things to keep us from acknowledging them, okay? So that was the reason behind that. The next card, obviously, look at that. So you have the Empress. This was one of my few favorites when I did this card. I loved it. I love the colors. It's very beautiful in coloring. It is a representative of a woman. You see the feminine symbol on her arm. You've got birds chirping. You've got the sun out, blue skies, flowers growing, which is so indicative and representative of the Empress, right? That she's carrying a child. You know, things are growing. She is smiling. She's very content and happy. And everything around her seems to be flourishing very well. And that's what I wanted to represent there. Now, the Empress in reverse. Okay, you have someone potentially with an eating disorder is represented here. The Empress reversed is like someone barren, you know, things not growing, okay, when you don't eat and you don't take care of yourself, or you don't nourish yourself and the things around you, they don't grow. And that is kind of what I wanted to represent here. Especially, you see the black background. Her pants are kind of hanging off of her body. You can see the bones. That is, you know, what we necessarily think of when, I don't want to say we, I don't want to speak for everyone, but that is one sort of depiction of the Empress in reverse. It's like things dying. And when you don't nourish something and you don't give it life, you don't cultivate it, that is exactly what happens. And I wanted to show that here, okay? Now the Emperor, kind of classic Emperor, right? He looks like he is ready for war, for battle, and he has these flowers around him, these roses with the red ribbon around him. And it kind of represents the fact that, you know, when we look at the Emperor in tarot is someone that is a great ruler, you know, someone that is fair, someone that is well loved and liked by many, right? It is the ultimate ruler. And that's what you see here, okay? And I wanted, you know, the headdress on his head also, you know, the Emperor represents Aries. So, and Aries is the first of all the zodiac signs. So I wanted to represent that spear type of energy, being able to forge forward and to have, you know, to be able to create the path for other people to follow. And that is, you know, my idea behind this card here. Now the Emperor Reversed, very interesting. So the Emperor Reverse, you have a TV, there is a hand there, someone wearing, there's no head, right? It's kind of like the head is the TV. And there's puppet strings holding like a puppet doll there. And what this sort of represents is manipulation, not being able to think for yourself, all right? Being controlled, which is, the Emperor Reverse can be very manipulative. The Emperor Reverse can be very controlling, right? Even narcissistic to a degree. And that's sort of what I wanted to represent. Now, the fact that there is a TV there, it also kind of takes a strong play on the fact that there are outside influences that may be even controlling, you know, the individual if this shows up in a reading, right? So I wanted to really show that in modern terms, how pivotal it can be to, you know, like look at this depiction and see like dead on that it could be some manipulation. It could also be manipulation and control from what we're taking in, whether it's information from others or our media sources. Okay, so I wanted to represent that as well. Number 5 is the Hierophant. And as you can see, this is a strong play on the original Hierophant card, except you just see him there, his shadow sort of in red over the city. So you see the buildings at the bottom, you know, there is the crescent moon, the 2 keys that he carries, which kind of represents the structure that comes with the Hierophant. The building of, you know, the Hierophant has a lot to do with religion, right? With commitment to religious structures and things like that. And so I wanted to show that, but I also wanted to show that sometimes, you know, especially with it, the person that's usually in showing up as the Hierophant, by not showing their face and being all in red, that sometimes religion can be skewed. And religion is maybe potentially used as like I said, another form of manipulation. But then at the same time, when I look at this card as well, I also think of, that religion, everyone has a different religion. Everyone believes in something different. And what religion means for you may not be the same religion for someone else, right? Which was the reason behind, we have a cross right here, which is representative of Christianity. But then if you look down here, there's Arabic buildings, they look like Arabic sort of buildings there, which in the Arabic countries, many of them practice a totally different religion, and it's not Christianity. They believe in something totally different. Most of them are Muslims, right? Or I want to say most, I don't want to generalize anyone, but many of them are Muslims. So I wanted to show that by not showing the face or having it be like a specific person, that religion is big, and it is, it may even be overpowering as far as how big he is in the card, but that it's different for everyone, and everyone will see a different version of what religion means for them. Okay, so I wanted to show that there. And the Hierophant reversed, look at that. This was one of my favorite cards to do as well. Like, I really loved and enjoyed doing the artwork in this card. You can see the gay, lesbian, transgender community represented very well in this card. And the reason for that is the Hierophant in reverse does represent, like, a lot of times bucking the system, not wanting to be tied down to a certain spiritual belief or religion or what have you. And I wanted this deck to be very inclusive to what we live in the society that we have in the present moment, right? So, like, representing you see these individuals of all different colors and creeds and backgrounds, but they all share commonality, and they're standing hand in hand together, and they're celebrating that energy, right? Kind of loud and proud is what I wanted it to showcase. And I feel like a lot of times we see the Hierophant in reverse and we see it as a negative thing. But I really wanted to show it as a very positive, in a more positive way in this deck. And it can be seen, I think, through the colors, and, you have the symbols for the LGBT Q plus IA community in this depiction. So I was super stoked about doing that card. Now, number 6 is the Lovers. Now, normally in most Lovers decks, okay, there are 3 people depicted, okay? But because there is a reverse card to this, I wanted to represent the Lovers for maybe its true nature, right? But also still give it, like, the energy that was initially there, right? So you have this tree in the background that is, you see it branching out. And the Lovers can represent a soulmate union or connection. It also represents the sign of Gemini. So the duality of it, I wanted to keep it as 2 because of the Gemini representation in it, right? So you have the duality with the man and the woman, and you can clearly see that they are they're naked, and I wanted them to be naked. And the reason for that was because it's like revealing, when you really love someone, they see the parts of you that maybe you're uncomfortable with, the parts that you're absolutely vulnerable to that person. Okay. But I also you know, they're not looking at each other. They're in a very passionate sort of state in this depiction. And you see the heart there. So they're the heart covering their bodies where they connect. I wanted it to be that these two, you don't see legs, you don't see a body or down, you know, anything below them other than the branches at the bottom. And I wanted it to be that way because I wanted it to be like, you know, growing from love, growing from a space of love, and really building on roots, having history, all right, or building and creating history. And that can absolutely manifest with the Lovers card. So I really felt, you know, and you have the light in the back, which kind of, the light here sort of represents like seeing how beautiful that relationship and dynamic can be. Okay. Now the Lovers in reverse. Here we have 3 people. Here we have her hugging one person, okay? And he's represented here. You can see him. Hopefully you can see him. And he has tears coming down his face. And he has knives in his back. There's blood there. And she is hugging him and kissing a whole nother person, a whole nother man. And I wanted to represent that, you know, the Lovers reverse can be a third party situation. Sometimes the Lovers reverse can be, you know, the end of a relationship, maybe due to manipulation. It can also represent a lot of pain. All right. Sometimes even staying in that pain, knowing that you're being hurt, staying around in spite of, you know, because you were so connected in this, you know, in this space, that in the reverse, it can be a very painful, you know, love can turn into hate very quickly. And I wanted that to be, you know, this sort of representation here, right? Someone needing to really decide, or has decided and just maybe not, you know, come forward with letting their partner know. Now the Chariot, very different sort of Chariot here. You got the Moon, right? Which the Chariot represents Cancer energy. And you have the King and you have the Queen. You have the lions here, right? I don't know if they're lions. They are lions. They're white lions, white and black lions. And then you have, you know, this, I don't know what they're called. I feel like I used to call them something. It was like, we used to make wishes on them. Like as a kid, we would pick them. They were weeds and we would pick them and blow. And then, you know, as you blow on them, you make a wish and that wish comes true. But the forward movement in this card is represented by the wind sort of blowing this weed into the air, right? And you have the King and Queen, or the, you know, the head, these lions with the headdress on them, or tigers with the headdress on them. And it represents masculine and feminine energy. Okay. It represents forward movement, protection. It represents change. Because it is, you know, it looks like it's changing from day to night. All right. The stars seem to be out. This is an indication of future success, stability. All right. Partnership, all of those things I wanted to showcase in this depiction. And I feel like that was like the best representation that I came up with. I feel like I was really confident about like how I wanted to showcase that. They're on top of a mountain. They are protecting each other. They have each other's back, looking in both directions, you know, and that really sort of embodies Cancer energy as well, very protective of home and family. And I wanted to kind of showcase that. The Chariot Reverse really talks about lacking direction. It talks about feeling powerless, right? Feeling unsuccessful in your life, not knowing what to do to change your circumstances or situation. And I wanted, like I said, I wanted this to be a very controversial deck. Not too controversial, but controversial enough that it makes you think, okay? And so the Chariot in reverse shows a young man in a building, looks like a church. There are other people around. They're in these pews. And you see this young man, he looks very sad. He has this fear, maybe fear of the religion, fear of, you know, kind of feeling stuck, feeling powerless. This is overwhelming to him. If you look, that's represented by this thing behind him, which is like a monster, almost overwhelming him to a degree, right? Towering over him. And I really wanted to represent, like, talk about some of the taboo issues that go on in, you know, in real life. Like, these are real issues, you know, that impact our religion, and a lot of the reason why people navigate and gravitate to spirituality, because of a lot of the contradictory energy that happens to be there, and shining a real light on those type of issues, making others feel powerless, right? And we've struggled with childhood abuse, things of that nature, physical abuse. And I feel like this is definitely depicted in that very closely. If you take a look at this picture, there is a condom, few condoms on the ground there. And I wanted to represent, like, the powerlessness that a child feels when taken advantage of by people that are meant to protect them. So I'm sorry if you guys don't like that. You know, like I said, I go deep with things a lot. So, and this is art for me, you know, and I love art in every way possible. So I really wanted to go very deep with this deck. Hopefully not too deep, but deep enough to make you think, right? Now, the next card here is number 8, which is the Strength card. It is the Leo energy. Obviously, it's represented by the lion. And you could see the infinity symbol there. Now, this represents, when we see the Strength card, it represents being able to control your emotions, control yourself, being strong, having the strength to control your inner demons within yourself. And that's represented by this person reaching out and touching the lion, and the lion being calm and allowing it to happen, right? Being able to fully understand your power, your strength. Now, the Strength in reverse, if you look, first of all, this lion is not happy, right? This is somebody out of control, maybe narcissistic, maybe someone seeking revenge, or reactive, right? This is somebody reactive, pushing people away. And that is very representative by the Strength in reverse. Someone that, in an attempt, because usually the Strength reverse kind of represents powerlessness to a degree, but it can also represent, like, what we do when we feel powerless and how we react in ways that aren't beneficial to us. okay? You can see his eyes are red and there's the devil in his eyes, okay? Which to me, I was thinking to myself, like, when I was creating this, like, man, this kind of represents us really when we react to situations and our reaction is defensive and our reaction is controlling the better side of ourselves, right? And we're not thinking clearly and we're not our best self. And that is a lot of devil energy. And with the Strength card reversed, it can be that energy can put us in a state of being where we don't recognize our power and we don't have control over our reactions to situations. And so I wanted to show that in this card. Now, number 9 is the Hermit, Virgo energy. Now, the Hermit is someone that does a lot of self-reflecting. They're by themselves. This is someone that goes deep within themselves. Their mind is expansive, right? They're in the dark, but they have the light within. And I wanted to showcase that because by this being like a skeleton, right? And his mind being black, it's kind of like the mind here is full. You can see the light represented by the lights back here and the moonlight and the star over here, the stars that are shining. But this person is alone. They're in very, very deep thought. And it's like finding your being enlightened to things, right? Something being revealed to this person, right? By going within themselves and really getting to their core self is bringing about some kind of enlightenment here. And I wanted to kind of showcase that, right? It is about closing off the noise of the world around you and finding your truest self within. So now the Hermit reversed can represent, being reclusive, right? Being reclusive to the world around you. It can really represent being withdrawn from others. And if you look, this is kind of a play on what we've been dealing with in regards to the coronavirus or COVID, should I say, right? He has a mask on and he is, he's alone. He's standing on a balcony overlooking his apartment and he has a phone in his hand. It's like he's alone and maybe like withdrawn from others, but connected only through electronics, right? He is in some way, I feel like kind of representing what we've all been dealing with in having to find connections online and kind of feeling alone in the sense, right? So I wanted to showcase what everyone has been going through with the pandemic, right? So that's what I feel like I was trying to capture when it came to this card, is feeling alone, being withdrawn from others, but still in some way maybe wanting to connect, wanting that desire to come towards others and right now it's kind of like by using the phone, trying to come together in that way. All right. And if you were doing a reading for someone, this could be that, represented in a way where someone, just like the Hermit Reverse, can be somebody sometimes coming out of a reclusive space, reaching out, wanting to come together. I wanted to showcase that as well. So number 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. And here, kind of a really strong play on this original Wheel of Fortune, except the original Wheel of Fortune is, there's a lot of different things that usually show up in the wheel. In this Wheel of Fortune, you do have the original, you've got the bird, you've got the angel, the snake here. And the snake is the only thing that's black, right, in the picture. It's usually something hidden, something you can't see clearly. And with the Wheel of Fortune, a lot of times it can be a part of destiny, okay? It's like that wheel spinning to your destiny. So I wanted to represent all of the options that destiny sort of has for us, all right? And kind of the change that comes with the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is about change as well. And if you notice, there's all the zodiac signs. This is actually the Zodiac Wheel, right? So all the zodiac signs are represented, and the long portion of the arrow is directed at Scorpio here. And Scorpio represents change. Scorpio represents, you know, they're ruled by Pluto. Pluto is the planet of transformation, right? So I wanted to showcase that in this card. Now, the Wheel of Fortune reverse can be usually something that showcases or shows us that maybe we're feeling really unfortunate. You know, things are happening around us that may be outside of our control, and we feel like things are happening to us and not for us. And I wanted to showcase that here. He has lost his wallet, he lost his money, his fortune, right? And in the background, you see all these buildings. There's a caution sign. It's like, hey, you know, kind of telling him like, hey, wait a minute, you know, don't go this way. These buildings, there's a lot of smoke there, right? And where there's smoke, there's fire. And so what I wanted to really represent here was how sometimes we're so concerned with certain issues. You know, Wheel of Fortune reverse can sometimes be where we don't see, all we see is the negative. We don't see what is in front of us that is maybe, or what we have done or are doing, or what we missed out on that may be creating some of those negative things to manifest in our lives, or why they're manifesting. All right. So I wanted to kind of show that in this. And, you know, there's a flat tire here, which also to me was representative of the wheel in the Wheel of Fortune, but it's flat, right? So it's like something just not going anywhere, going nowhere fast, right? All right, so number 11 is Justice. Now, this is, you can see the original Justice symbol. There's the two pillars behind her, just like the original card. She's dressed in purple, right? This is purple from head to toe. And purple is a very spiritual color, okay? Purple is a color that increases a lot of spirituality and even our sensitivity, okay? And the reason for me doing this was, you know, justice can represent things being fair, you know, coming to balance things out. But there's a very spiritual overtone with justice. And if things are ever unfair, you know, the universe doesn't make any mistakes. Justice is the card of karma, right? Whether it's good karma or bad karma, it's the card of karma. And karma is a very spiritual thing. You know, karma, I wanted to showcase how the balance is actually ruled by the universe and spirit, right? Everything, for every action, there's a reaction. For every, cause, there is an effect. And that is what justice represents. But that is also what I wanted to showcase with the colors in this reading. Being fair, needing to act with integrity, right? Those type of things. And Justice Reversed. I love this card. I could not wait to do this card because this was in my head with Justice Reversed anyway. I love chess. And I used to play it a lot when I was younger. But if you know anything about chess, the pawns usually are the pawns can only move one space, right? Or two spaces, depending on if it's the first time they're moving. But they can only move one space, right? And you've got all these other pieces back here that can go directly against the pawn and kill it, So they could take the pawn out of the game. It is a totally unmatched situation, right? It's unequal, which is representative of the Justice card in reverse, okay? Where the little people represented by the pawn don't have the same opportunity to move around as the bigger, the ones that have the more power. And so it can represent manipulation. It can represent a power struggle. It can represent a lack of fairness. And I wanted to showcase that. Now, number 12 is the Hanged Man. Now, we all know the original depiction of the Hanged Man as somebody hung up in a tree and can break themselves out. In this depiction, this is someone that is hanging upside down. You can't see what he's hung up on, but what you can see is that he's hanging himself upside down. He's holding on to these, kind of like, I feel like there's a sport. What was it called? I can't remember. But there's a certain sport that they do this. It's acrobatics, right? So it's kind of like him practicing acrobatics. On his back, you can see a tattoo that he has here of the elements. It's an elemental table that actually brings us into alignment, right? So he has that as a tattoo, which talks about, kind of a depiction of the original Hanged Man where he's holding back, right? He's doing a lot of thinking, not a lot of acting. He's finding, trying to figure out what he wants to do, represented by the crescent moon. And, he's got his emotions on his mind, I feel like, which is why the moon is over his head in this way as well. You do have the trees growing back here. So you've got mountains and you have this tree that's growing, right? The trees growing in the background represent one decision and the mountains that are clear represent another. So doing a lot of introspective thinking about what direction you want to go in, holding themselves back, all of those things I feel like are represented in that. Now, the Hanged Man in reverse, this is when your third eye opens. This is when you have the knowledge, you have the information, you are releasing yourself, right? And that is, you have peace in whatever choice you're making, okay? So, and I tried to represent that with the world here and also with the third eye. The third eye represents seeing things that are maybe hidden, seeing the truth. Now, the Death card is number 13 in the Major Arcana, and it's represented by Scorpio, Pluto, right? Everybody kind of fears the Death card. Like, oh, am I going to die? Is somebody going to die? Like, a lot of times, first of all, it's not the last card in the Major Arcana, right? And people don't understand that. First of all, let's talk about, just for a second, what death actually is. Death is not the end-all be-all. It's the transformation from physical body to spirit body. And so when we see the Death card, obviously represented by Pluto, okay? And Pluto represents Scorpio energy. You have the Phoenix here, okay? So it's you've got all the things that represent Scorpio and death in sort of in this card. You've got the snake, the staff, the white rose, and the eagle, which represents, you know, the transformation, okay, that you have through death, okay? And it could be death of a person, it could be death of a situation, but there is something that is transforming. All death really means is transformation, right? So something transforming. And you see that here with this card. Even you can see where there's a flat line, all right? So something that, you know, heartbeat that was strong and then kind of dying down. And this horse running towards it. It's like running towards the transformation, going towards, you know, being in the midst of a transformation is something that you could see here if this card came out for you. All right. Now the death in reverse. Usually when I see the death card in reverse, and the kind of real meaning for the death card reversed is either something coming back around or someone having a difficult time with an ending or letting something go. It represents a feeling of being stuck, being in an in-between state. And so I wanted to show that with the roots. You can't see this person's feet. All you see is the roots here. And their arms are out, like they're in fear. And it's like fear taking hostage of you so that you don't change or transform. Okay, but a lot of times what we fail to remember is that when we don't change and we don't transform and we fight against our own Pluto energy, our own transformation, then we end up in a very stuck place, all right? To the point where we start to grow roots in that stuck place. And that stuck place becomes familiar, but it also can become, you know, sometimes even like a prison that we built for ourselves, mentally, physically, or emotionally, right? Because of a fear of change, a fear of that transformation, a fear of letting go and allowing the universe to do its work. And that, you know, the death card reverse can be really fighting against your own transformation. Number 14 is the Temperance, represented by Sagittarian energy, right? Sagittarius is represented here. But if you look, the Temperance is a very spiritual card. It's a card of patience, right? She is dressed in all white. There's the sun behind her going down. She has this, you know, she's in water here. She's in this water. I feel like, you know, things are being built, but very slowly, right? If you look, there's even a turtle, okay? Yeah, the turtle is right there. So it's like things coming together and things around you growing, but being very connected to everything, being connected and having balance between your emotion and your physical needs, which can represent what the Temperance, you know, the Temperance energy. It's maybe even tempering yourself, right? This is somebody that's not super emotional, very rational, and you can sort of see that, you know, she's got the wings on her back. And so it's kind of two worlds colliding. You know, in a normal depiction of the Temperance card, you've got one cup sort of pouring into the other. And that is, you know, I wanted to represent that with like the meeting of earth and water and the meeting of, you know, spirituality with our earthly nature. okay? So being patient, all of those things that happen, I feel like I was trying to showcase that here. Now, the Temperance in reverse. This was a card I really loved doing, okay? This talks about, you know, right now how sometimes things are not, they're not fair, right? There's a lack of fairness. And sometimes with the Temperance reverse, it can mean that someone is very impatient, unwilling to wait, you know, that things are unfair. They may be speaking out about that lack of fairness. And I feel like that has been happening over, especially over the last several years, you know, with the walks and the riots and things of that nature. It represents an imbalance that needs to be balanced, right? Something that is unfair or creates disharmony and people get fed up, or somebody getting fed up with that imbalance and not being patient about it, right? And so I wanted to showcase, you know, the patience is sort of represented by the police officer here needing to, you know, this, he doesn't have a choice. He has to be patient in this situation, right? You've got all these angry people here uniting together, and that's represented by the different colors of skin tone in the two fists in the air. And you have the riot zone, keep out. Like, this is like bucking up against unfairness, right? And that's kind of how I see it. Like, wanting masculine and feminine energy, everyone coming together in order to try to fight for the balance that's needed, is what I wanted to showcase here. And you see somebody holding the no justice, no peace sign here. All right. Where the Temperance is reversed, there is no peace because of unfairness. All right. Or, you know, this could even indicate, like I said, someone just being very impatient because they're tired of waiting. You know, they've done what they could do. Now this is last resort energy, right? So I thought that that would be really indicative of what we are going through in our society as a whole, needing to bring things into balance, into the temperance state, right? Now, number 15 is the Devil. I had fun with this one. The Devil in this depiction, first of all, what does the Devil represent? It represents feeling stuck. It represents addiction. It represents, it's very karmic in nature, right? And so the hands are tied. You could see there's like there's no color in the picture intentionally, black and white, like not being able to see the bigger picture. Usually when you see things in black and white and not with, you know, any sort of color, you're missing out on a lot of detail, right? And that is what happens when you have the Devil energy there. It's like you're missing the detail. You can't see things. This is why the Devil's eyes are blacked out and the mouth blacked out, right? It's like your senses are off, okay? And showcasing the addiction portion of it. You got a cigarette in one hand, a glass of liquor in the other, and there's the chains. The hands are chained like this. So it's like feeling tied, you know, if you're looking at the addiction portion of it, feeling tied, trying to maybe even use other substances and things of that nature in order to hide from yourself or to create some sort of toxic environment, right? So I really wanted to showcase that in this, and I hope that I was able to kind of grab it in this picture. Now, the Devil reversed can represent letting a lot of those things go. All right, the Devil Reverse is a release of the chains that are binding you, letting go of addiction. So it could be, oops, in this picture, you don't just see one drug, you see lots of them. Cigarettes, alcohol, weed, condoms, pills. There's a needle there. There's, if you look, there's likes there. You know, sometimes we are even addicted to social media, right? And over the heart of this person is black, but you see the chain that's broken, right? They have officially broken the chain that was keeping them stuck to all these different things, the toxicity, whatever it is, and they're healing their heart, okay? And you can start to see this person coming together, right? The Band-Aid over their heart. They're healing emotionally, which is representative of releasing and letting go. And you see the birds in the background, you know, they're flying away. Like, okay, you know, now you're getting it with the Devil energy in reverse. Number 16 is the Tower. And I wanted to showcase this Tower almost to represent and kind of pay homage to the Twin Towers. Okay, so you see the tower is on fire. It's a very large tower. It's not like not like the original tower card that we have in the original tarot deck, right? This tower is on fire. And you see the firemen there working on the tower, okay? You see the firemen working to kill the flames in the tower. And the reason for that is because a lot of people look at the tower and they get afraid of the Tower card. The Tower card represents a sudden change, a sudden abrupt change in a circumstance or situation that is meant to reveal certain cracks or things that are not working in your life so that you can fix them, right? Or so that you could see things more clearly. And so the Tower, a lot of times what people don't see is that it does, as much as it is maybe difficult to deal with in the moment, it may also bring unexpected people together the same way that 9/11 did. All right. And so you see these firemen working really, really hard to put this fire out, right? And with the Tower, a lot of times, you know, the fire may have happened abruptly, unexpectedly. I'm sure they didn't wake up and expect their building to be on fire here. But what this also represents is a transformation. Transformation shown by the fire, okay? The abruptness of a fire and how quickly it can spread and get out of control. But also showcasing that you can change the outcome by by working together, by not getting that feeling of defeat, right? By continuing to put the work in and not just giving up and saying, oh, well, this happened to me and oh my God, I don't know what to do and I just wasn't expecting it. It's a challenge and it's not going to be an easy one, but it is going to be worth it, right? So really kind of having the courage is what I wanted to showcase in this Tower. Like having the courage to put out unexpected fires in your life that happen and not be afraid of them, right? Because unexpected things happen to us all the time. They don't necessarily have to be bad. Sometimes they're really great, and we might not even know how great they are until years down the line. Like, man, if that never happened, then I would have never did this and this and this. So I wanted to kind of showcase that with this Tower, that not all is lost, okay? If you keep fighting, you might be able to save and salvage something from this situation, this unexpected situation. Now, the Tower reversed. The Tower reversed a lot of times can talk about not seeing the truth of something or avoiding, right? Avoidance. Now, if you notice, there's a building behind her and it's decaying. It's absolutely falling apart, right? And here she is holding this mannequin like it is her man, all right? Like it is her partner, and she is putting on airs like she is so happy, and maybe she is in her mind. She could just be mentally ill, who knows? But the truth of the matter is that she does not, her eyes are closed. She does not want to see the reality of a situation, all right? She wants to be in her la-la land. And so the Tower reverse can a lot of times be not seeing the truth of the situation, avoiding the truth, avoiding situations that may create change, right, for your life. So I wanted to showcase that. And I thought that was actually a pretty funny depiction of the Tower reverse. Now you have the Star here. And the Star can indicate healing. It can indicate a new direction. It could also indicate maybe truth being revealed. Okay, so you have the clouds here in this depiction. You've got the mountain, right? Mountains are obstacles. But then there's the Star that's lighting the way through the obstacle, through the clouds. The clouds are still there, but the Star tells you what true north is, what direction you need to go in order to see the sun again, right? So this can talk about like revealing the truth. It could talk about success after a very difficult time. And I wanted to represent that by the usage of colors, okay? And the healing aspect by the usage of water here, you know, and you've got the cup pouring that may even be falling down from the mountain into the water. But the water that was in the cup going into the ocean, and it's like, okay, there is something pouring into you that will bring about healing. There is hope with the Star card, all right? And the Star card represents Aquarius, which is the water bearer. So you can't, I feel like you can't make a Star card without water. So then we have the Star reversed. The Star reversed talks about, you know, can be dishonesty, deception, lies, not feeling successful with something not working out. So you have this man who seems to be homeless and, you know, feels like it's hopeless. All right. But what really is going on here, and I wanted to show you this, was behind him are some stairs. Okay. And it's dark. You know, he seems kind of dark, right? But if he walks up the stairs, if he opens himself up to some kind of enlightenment, to see that he has the power within himself to heal, all right, to heal his emotions and to really see the truth for what it is, but he has to be willing to take that first step to do it. And as long as he is in this energy of feeling like he doesn't have any type of future or any success or what have you, then he will remain in this position, all right? So that's what I kind of wanted to showcase here. He has the power, showcased with the red hoodie that he's in, right? Red is a very strong color. It represents power, but is he using it, right? And that a lot of times the Star can even be self-delusion. So now number 18 is the Moon. I love this card. The Moon, you see here a wolf by himself, okay? It's very dark outside. The moon is full, and there's a bird here that you can barely see. And the moon a lot of times represents illusions, okay? So I wanted to showcase that in this picture. The moon, you know, it's full, and here you have this this wolf by himself, but he's not really by himself though, is he? There's that bird there, you know. And I feel like he's kind of looking out. You know, there's a lot of things that can be concealed with the moon. The moon does sometimes represent deception. Sometimes it represents our emotions. So in this depiction, it would be like somebody maybe full of emotion, maybe because they feel alone. Maybe they're hiding their emotions, or their emotions are hidden, but they're full of emotion is how I would kind of see that, right? They have them, they're just concealed. All right. Now, the moon in reverse. The moon in reverse can represent the truth coming out. It can represent a release of some kind of feelings. It also represents change, okay? And sometimes maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. But if you look at this, this is actually an eclipse. All right, the moon covering the sun. And so you see her eyes there. And what ends up happening with the eclipse is when the moon moves over, it reveals everything. Like the sun comes out again. And so her eyes are opening. There might even be something being said, being spoken by, represented by the mouth, or something being released, being changed here, okay? Changes of thought. There's a brain and there's snakes on the brain, okay? So it could be manipulation, which definitely can be represented by the moon. Someone concealing things in order to manipulate. But with the moon in reverse, those things are being revealed, right? They're being seen clearly. Her eyes are clear through all the fog, okay? Now, number 19 is the sun. And so here, you know, the sun represents happiness. It represents joy, being, you know, growth, vitality, all those things. So you see a pony or a horse with this beautiful ribbon literally running through the water, you know, the sun on his back and going, you know, there's sunflowers there, things growing around him, and really beautiful energy. All right. So I wanted to showcase the magic sort of that comes with the sun, okay? And what the sun can do. It can create happiness for you. You know, when you don't get enough sun, it can even put you into depression, right? But when you get a lot of sun, it feels good. You know, when you're out there, it can even revitalize you. And that's sort of what I wanted to showcase here. Now, this is a very interesting card for me. This was personal, okay? So, and it has a lot of personal touches to it as well. This is the sun in reverse, all right? First of all, the sun is a Leo card, right? Because the sun rules over Leo in astrology. Now, the sun in reverse does talk about sadness, unhappiness, you know, depression even sometimes, not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, that sort of thing. And I wanted to showcase the grief that sort of can come with the sun in reverse, and do it in a really personal way. Some of you know this, some of you don't. My favorite rapper, and has been even before he passed away, but like, was Nipsey Hussle. Okay, he's one of my favorite rappers of all time. His music, probably 2, maybe 3 years before he died, his music actually got me through a really, really rough time for like the whole summer. That was all I played was Mailbox Money in my car. Like, I thought I was trapping in my car every time I got in there. Anyways, so it was a really sad situation for him to pass away, but he was also a Leo. okay? And his death was sudden and unexpected, and people are still grieving it, obviously, to this day. People that didn't know him, that is the effect, you know, that he had. It was, he was very well loved, all right? And he wasn't just a rapper, or he was a creator, and he was very loving to his community and very well respected, which is a lot, you know, a lot of energy that comes with the original Sun card, you know. So I wanted to showcase the grieving that can happen with the Sun in reverse by using that depiction, where you see a picture of, it's basically a shirt, it's actually a t-shirt of a painting of him on the shirt, and like all the candles, the flowers, the, you know, how people come together in grief sometimes as well, you know. And sometimes it can be grief of more than one person, so you could look at it that way. And it can be an overwhelming long-term, you know, situation that affects one person or multiple people, or people, it affects people in different ways even, right? So I wanted to showcase that. Now, Judgment is number 20, okay? Judgment is usually in tarot depicted as someone judging others. It's a very spiritual card. It's like the final judgment in religion, you know, when you go through your transformation, you know, looking at if you're making the right choice, you know, and judging your decisions. It can also indicate like having to make a decision, all right? It has a lot of past energy, right? And you see the people down here at the bottom, and this person with the trumpet, well, I don't want to say person, this sort of angel kind of with the trumpet, and there's stairs there, and they're being judged, right? They're being judged. Did you do good? Did you do bad? Are you doing good? Are you doing bad? That type of thing. And this is, you know, the birds represent the change that comes with the decisions, right? Now, it's still number 20, Judgment in reverse can talk about making bad choices, making choices that are not healthy for us. And so I wanted to represent that by showcasing something that I think we all struggle with, is the pollution in the society that we have. We have so much technology and things of that nature, but our planet is taking a hit. And that is showcased here with the pollution in the air. You see, you know, the oil spill here on the roads, and the sky behind it is black, right? So Judgment reversed, it's like making bad decisions, all right? Making decisions that maybe you're going to regret in the future, or maybe decisions that bring about some kind of karma, all right? Because for every action, there's a reaction. And so I wanted to showcase that. So number 21, we're almost done. We only got 2 more cards left, guys. So number 21 is the World. And this is a depiction of the world in its regular form, I think. You know, you've got the elements here. You've got the scorpion, the water bearer. You've got the lion and the bull, right? At the bottom, you have the hamster hand, which also represents the Om symbol. The Om symbol is the beginning and the end, right? It is the symbol of life. So when you see the world reversed, you see around the world you have the gold flowers. This kind of represents victory, right? It's something coming to an end, a lesson learned, successful completion, that type of thing, right? Finding, and it's a peaceful ending. So I wanted to represent that also with the hamster hand here, right? And the eye, enlightenment. So something here coming to an end and having victory over it, gaining peace, gaining knowledge and information. Now the World in Reverse. This card is so like, the World in Reverse. In this depiction, you've got the Wall, right? And I really wanted to showcase this one, kind of like our world upside down, right? Something left unfinished, undone, completed. Something not completed out the right way or mishandled, right? Mishandled. So here the depiction of the wall, but it's not fully up. Literally, you could walk from one side, you have America, and that's represented by the American flag. Then there's the wall. And on the other side, you've got Mexico. And it's like our world upside down, our world in reverse. Something not being handled properly, not being completed or even done in the right way, mishandled. All right. Can be represented. Unfinished business when it comes to the world in reverse, right? And you've got this man standing there just kind of looking at it like, wow. And a lot of times it's like the need to reflect, the need to look at what is not being completed properly in your life, right? If you see here, you've got the scales of justice on the statue, and there's a lot of blood coming off the scales. If you look down here at the very bottom, there's a snake, and it's a dead snake, right? It's like, how much damage was done or created all to just have an unfinished, undone situation? How much blood was shed? How many people were hurt in this process, and it's still not done because it was mishandled. And so there's a need to kind of look back at that. And I wanted to showcase that in what is going on in our society right now. Okay? Too many chiefs, not enough Indians, too many people wanting power, etc., and still nothing getting completed because of the ego. All right, so that is what I have for you guys. I really do hope that you like this deck. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. It is available for sale on my website, LUCKII7tarot.com. It's called the Retrograde Major Arcana deck. Tell your friends about it. That kind of thing. I really am super excited about this deck. And if you have bought this deck and you wanted to maybe get another idea other than what you were thinking, hopefully this video was helpful for you. All right. So I cannot wait to use this deck on you guys to do your readings and see what else we can come up with and how they will pertain to your specific situations. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. I hope you're loving on yourselves. Peace, love, and blessings to you always. Bye-bye.